Difficult, I would say, was I felt less than because I wasn't going to work every day and getting paid for a job. It was a good position. I had a lot of responsibility. When I gave that up, somehow I was almost apologizing for giving it up and just becoming a mother. But at the time, I felt like I'd almost given up a part of myself, given it away. It took me a while to come to terms with that, I would say. Easy. I don't know if any of it's ever easy. There were moments where I was just like, oh my God, like, I don't know if I can do this. Really tough moments. But at the same time, seeing what they have become and where they are now in all aspects of their lives, we did that.
Welcome to the podcast where motherhood meets reinvention. I'm your host, Sharon Macey, and this is Mom to More. I'll be speaking with remarkable moms who have embraced the art of transformation, crafting their more by leveraging the skills they hone as stay-at-home moms. They'll share their experiences, struggles, and successes as they return to a former career, pursued a passion or hobby, or charted an entirely new path, giving you the clarity, motivation, and inspiration to help you answer the question, what do you want to do when your kids grow up? Welcome back. Well, my next guest is a multi-talented mom. Amanda Parton grew up in a mining town in West Yorkshire, England. Her career trajectory took her to London at Ogilvy Mather Advertising, to Singapore to be Creative Director of Ogilvy One, and finally to the United States, where she took a career pause to mother her brood. As her kids got older, Amanda, like so many stay-at-home moms who are looking to redefine their next chapter in life, started her introspection about her next steps. And step she did, or rather brilliantly danced into the dance world of competitive Standard Ballroom and as co-owner of the Dance Collective in Westport, Connecticut. More recently, following a lifelong passion of home design, she started Homebird Interiors. Needless to say, Amanda has had many inspiring reinventions, and we're going to learn all about them. Well, welcome, Amanda. I'm so thrilled you're here with me today.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to be here.
Thank you. So I start all my interviews with what I call my essential mom question, and that is, how many kids do you have and where did you raise them?
We have 4 children. We had 2 of them in London. We then moved to Asia, and we had 2 in Singapore.
Okay. And so let's talk about, why was it important for you to have that career pause and to have that time as a stay-at-home mom and refocus your energy on all things families, and then how you actually made it happen? Because with 4 kids, that's not easy.
No. It's an interesting question, and it's not easy. I feel like I loved my job. I absolutely loved it. I worked so hard to get out of my tiny town. And advertising was an amazing way to do that. And it took me to London, which is where I really wanted to go when I was a kid. So having children, I never thought I would have them. I thought if I had children, I'd have 1. And that would be it. My sister was the one that was like, I want kids, I want 4, I want 5. I was not that person.
Surprise, surprise.
That was the shocker. And I think when I got to London, we ended up having our 2 children in London. And it was only then I was struggling. Then I was struggling with it, because at that point, I mean, we're talking 30 some years ago, the maternity was not great. You got, I think it was like 12 weeks. So I remember saying goodbye to my first one and leaving him with a nanny. And my job was not a 9-to-5 job. I mean, sometimes I could be, working all-nighters. So, I had to have somebody that was there and available. And I found it very difficult. But at the same time, I'd worked so hard to get to that point. I felt like, I've got to try it. I've got to try and be a mother and have a career. But people do it. It's possible. I can do this. Right. So I tried. We had another one. And eventually I got offered this amazing job in Singapore. It was such an amazing opportunity. And my kids at the time were 3 and 18 months. And I just thought, it's now or never. I got to do this. I knew going that that job was very demanding. And it was very stressful. I had an amazing time. We had a live-in help. So that was a real bonus and helped. But after we were supposed to be there for 2 years, and we were loving it so much. We'd made so many great friends that we decided to stay another 3. So we were there in 5 years in total. And in that time, we had 2 more children. And I felt when we decided it was time to leave, I said to Paul, I'm happy to leave and to pursue your career, because he had also been given an amazing opportunity at that point, which took us back to the UK initially. And I said, I'm okay with that, but I need to spend some time with these kids, because I felt like I was missing so much. At that point, our oldest was almost 8 years old. And I don't know, I just felt like, I was leaving them with this woman who I loved and trusted, but she was having more fun with them and she knew them better than I did.
Right. And that's not, yeah,
no, it's not.
That's really hard. Yeah.
It really is. It's heartbreaking. And I just felt like, I can't do this. I chose to have 4 children. I need to start looking after them. I need to be there for them when they need me. I also had friends who, because we were in an expat situation and it was unusual for the woman to be, in that position. So all of our friends, all the mothers were mothering their kids. It was their husbands that were on the expat train, as it were. And I think, it was difficult watching them, because they were spending all day with their kids, doing things with them, traveling with them, doing all these things. And I was just not able to do that. Neither one of us was. We were both working at that point. So
that was, you said that was hard for you, right? Because in some ways you're almost jealous of, the caregiver who's with your kids. And you're like, wait a minute, she's experiencing these things that I should be experiencing. But I'll say, Amanda, that trajectory is not as uncommon as you think it is, because there are women, and I've interviewed women who have gone right back to work. And then something happened, whether it was 9/11 or, some seminal moment in their life when they're like, wait a minute, these are my children. I love them. I want to be with them. I need to experience this. So it is not super uncommon at all.
No. I think it's probably less uncommon than it was. True. I feel like at the time, we were the first of our group to have kids, like quite a long way, actually. I was only 25 when I had my first one. So, a lot of my friends didn't have kids until they were in their 30s. And so it was weird. I felt like I was almost on an island. It was like, we didn't have friends that had kids, but we've always enjoyed a good social life. So that was tough. So it was like dinner parties every weekend so that people could come and we could socialize, but still at the same time look after our kids. It was just, It was a weird way it was different to what everybody else was doing. All of our circle was doing at the time. It was a huge decision for me, because I did love what I did so much. And it was just like, I've got to do this. I've got to do it, for them. Like, I've got to sacrifice what I love to be with the people I love. And it was a hard decision, but it was at the time the best thing I ever did. Sure. I was really, really happy that I ended up doing it.
The way you just phrased it was really wonderful, sacrificing what you loved to be with the people that you loved. And, in this universe of stay-at-home moms, everyone's been there. It is a conscious decision to, whatever you want to call it, take a career pause, not continue on. It's a fraught and it's an important and, sort of a seismic decision, I think, for any couple and young family. So you stopped, working in advertising. Actually, we have that in common. That's my background as well. How did how did that work? Were you freelancing at all, or was it just cold turkey? I'm with the kids, and then you moved to the States, I think.
Yeah, so we were in the UK for a little while, and then we decided to Paul got another opportunity, and it was an amazing opportunity. So to come here, and you know, we love to travel, so we were like, why not? Let's try it. It'll be fun. So we did, and so we came. We had 4 kids. My oldest was 8. My youngest was like 5 months.
Mhm.
And, you know, we found a great house. We found a great community. We clicked with people immediately. That was the strangest thing for me, actually, because coming from the UK, people tend to be a little more guarded.
Mhm.
Um, it takes a long time to break into a circle. We were there. We were actually only in the UK for like 5 months or something. But it took me 5 months to break in to this group of women that I discovered that I liked. And then, of course, we were back on the road. So there
Right,
was,
right, right.
but I got to do this all again. But the weirdest thing was, people here are they're just very open. Like I mean, sometimes a little too open, but
TMI, right?
yeah,
Well,
but generally speaking, people were super welcoming. And so I met a lot of people very quickly, which was good. It made the transition easier. I
mhm.
felt like I had people I could ask for advice. People were telling me where to go. This is here, that's there. You should do this. So the transition here was super easy, actually. Um,
And that's nice to know that it is easier in this country to make friends than in your home country of England. That's a really interesting observation. I was unaware of that.
yeah, well, I mean, maybe it's me, but the culture's a little bit different.
Okay.
You know, once you make friends there, they're great, but it's just here, it's a lot, the opportunity to meet people and the people being so open and welcoming makes it a little easier. What I wanted to do when I first was free to do other things other than work was to be involved in their kind of school life a little more, like
Mhm.
get to know. Like I said, I will be class mom for all my kids at least once. Like that was my goal, because I
Yeah.
had never done it, and I was like, it horrified me. I was like, I don't know if I really want to do this, but I did, and I did it for all of them, and they loved it. They loved that I was there, that I was coming in, and you know, which just made me so happy. It was like, you know what, this is great.
And you know, having done that for all 3 of my kids, they do love that. And I think it's so precious. They know that when you come into the class, you're doing things for the class. They're like, that's my mom.
Yeah,
And that's so sweet.
it really was. I didn't, you know, it's odd. I didn't think it would mean that much, but it did mean a
Yeah.
lot to me and them, which was nice. Um, but other than that, I mean, I trained to become a personal trainer with any free time I had, um, because I love to work out. So that was that. And so I was in gyms continually. And then I came across this lady who she had like a little independent art school in Fairfield. And she was basically, it was a glorified babysitter for very young children,
Mhm.
playing with paint. But, you know, I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was just small groups of young children, and we would just paint and talk about color and read books. And so I did that for a little while, enjoyed it. And then one day I walked into Fitness Edge and saw this class going on with this guy, and there were 40 people in this class. It was so popular. And I was like, what is going on? What is this? And that was how I stumbled into the world of Latin dance, and met who is now my best friend, Enrique. And, you know, everything changed from that point. It set me on a slightly different path.
Right.
So
And how old were your kids when that happened?
I would say probably I'd been here maybe 4 years. So my oldest would have been about 12.
Okay. Okay.
And my youngest was, you know, 4 or 5 years old.
So you're still doing the stay-at-home mom thing, but now you've met Enrique, and wanted our listeners to know that that's how I met you.
Right.
Is, I guess, what has it been, like 7 years or so? I don't even remember. Um, that I've been going there as well, and we met, and so clearly this is a passion of yours. And then you also had the ability to turn this passion into a business. So what was it that led you to competitive Standard Ballroom, and talk about what that fulfilled inside of you? And had you ever done that before?
Right. Yeah, I danced from a young age. My mother put me in ballet classes when I was 4.
Didn't they all? Yeah.
I absolutely hated it. I was like, oh, this is awful. And I was a little, I mean, growing up, definitely a tomboy. I was a track star. I was that person. I played softball. I was netball. But, dancing and certainly ballet was just like, oh, this is terrible. I don't want to do this. Like, she forced me to do it. She forced me to at least finish the semester, which I did. But then when I went to school, they had dance classes within the school, and I got introduced to modern and contemporary and loved it. Mm-hmm. And so I did that all the way through my entire schooling. And then once I got to the age of 18, I just felt like I just didn't have time. So I stopped. And it was completely stopped. And I've done it my whole life, and I really loved it. But there was no time. I was studying, I was trying to find jobs. I was, there was just no time. And of course I had a social life. So,
right.
But I think seeing that class and seeing those ladies and hearing that music was just like, oh my God, this looks like so much fun. And you could just tell by all these ladies' faces that they were just in heaven.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, I'm going to try this. And I'm after the class was done and I walked out, I just stayed just to say that was incredible. I had such an amazing time to Enrique. And I said, you will be seeing me again. And at that point, he was going from gym to gym. So I literally became a groupie. I was following him everywhere.
Oh, okay.
And we became super, super close very quickly. For people for our listeners, Enrique and you started the Dance Collective, which is the studio that I go to in Connecticut. And I appreciate that, because I remember walking into the Dance Collective my first time and taking a class, and I'm thinking, oh my God, and it's all grown-ups, because I was always trying to find classes in our area, and it was always for kids, and maybe I could find a one-off jazz class, but to find a place that focused on adult women, adults, men are there too. I was like, okay, I'm home. This is great. Yeah. It was great. And, in the end, we decided to start our own studio just because it was hard going from, gym to gym and space to space and trying to find something that worked for everybody. It was tough. So we decided we need somewhere central. And so we started it. We started it in 2008.
And then that still allowed you to do that when the kids were in school.
Absolutely.
So that worked out really well.
I could just work everything around. When they were in school, I could dance. I could help him, with administration. It was easy and a fun thing to do. And it was about maybe, what would it be? Almost 10 years ago, actually, that I decided I'd been doing Latin, and loved it. But I thought, I need a new challenge. I loved Standard Ballroom. So, waltz, tango, Viennese, fox, and quick. I loved it. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to try that. It looks so elegant, and it's probably, as I'm getting older, maybe it'll be a more elegant, my God. It's exhausting.
I will say that you are an extraordinary dancer. I see you in Latin classes and you're amazing. And I've seen you on the dance floor and you're just gorgeous and stunning and you're so good. And you compete at a very high amateur level. So that is really amazing. But you said something, Amanda, that I want to dive into a little. You said I needed another challenge, and you and I are very similar in that regard. But I think that's also a really great lesson for moms who are trying to think, okay, what am I going to do when my kids grow up? And why, from your experience, why should a woman wrap herself around a challenge?
I mean, I think personal growth. I don't want to, when my time is done, I don't want to be thinking to myself, God, I wish I'd done that. God, I should have pushed myself to do that. It's interesting because as a kid, I was really shy. And, it was awful. It was so painful. Like, I hated meeting new people. I was so shy and it was terrible. I found over the years, and the older I get, the less I care about what people think of me. I feel like, I am who I am. You like it or you don't like it. I don't care. It's like, you can't like everybody.
No,
We're
I
not
love
all,
that. I think
we're
as
all,
we get older, I 100% agree with you. I think as we get older, there's that, you know what? I am who I am. And if you don't like it, your loss.
yeah, exactly. And you're free to be who you are. And I don't,
Mhm.
it's fine. Good for you. Like, so I just find that personal growth and evolving
Mhm.
as a person and learning new things, you know, expanding your brain width. I just feel like there's so many things I still want to learn.
Mhm.
And it's funny, Paul and I talk all the time about what's next as a couple,
Right.
and where we're going and what do we want to do together. And as a family, which is, I'm lucky, my family are pretty much here. Even
Very
though they're
lucky.
all grown up and out of the house, they're very, very close. So we can spend Sunday dinner together. And I grew up doing that with my grandparents. And I love that. For me, it's, probably people say to me, it's amazing that your kids like want to spend so much time with you guys.
Yeah, it's amazing, but yes, it says a lot about how you and Paul raised the kids. And so, kudos to you for that, that the kids are like, wow, our parents are pretty cool. We just want to spend time, we like spending time with them.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. I mean, knock wood, our kids are like that too. And even though they don't all live in the same area, but I think that really just goes to who you are and your husband and how you raised your kids.
Yeah. I mean, I do. I feel like I'm so proud of them. I think they're doing amazing things. They've all gone in different directions.
Right.
But at the end of the day, they know where home is and they love spending time with us. And I couldn't honestly ask for any more. It's amazing. I love
Right.
it.
I think that's wonderful. So during the time that you have spent with these kids, you have grown in some really wonderful ways. And so briefly, let's talk about maybe a couple of skills that you believe you honed while you were home with the kids and how that transferred into the dance collective or into your interior design business, which we're going to talk about in a moment.
Right. I would say chiefly organization.
Mhm.
I'm a good organizer, so I can make things happen. And I've always been able to do it. Having 4 kids and having to be in 4 different places at once all the time,
Mhm.
um, it just makes you, just definitely hones that skill. So I feel like organization wise, and that's definitely carried into the dance. It carried into the business I started recently. It's been great.
Organization is huge, and a lot of moms say that. But you have to be, if you're going to have more than, even with one child, you have to be hyper organized to make your life work. Mom to More podcast is sponsored by Ally Shoes. Created by a trio of trailblazing women, these shoes are engineered to alleviate pain. Finally, right? They cradle your foot with an ergonomic, cushy insole design and come in every chic, classic, and live out loud color you can imagine. Whether it's the 3-inch classic heels, the super posh flats, or the fab chunky heel ankle booties, they're all timeless, modern, and elegant. And I'm sharing the love with all of you. Head on over to ally.nyc, where new customers and listeners of the pod will get $40 off your first pair of classic heels with special code MOMTOMORE40. Going casual? Get 10% off your first pair of boots and flats with special code MOMTOMORE10. Moms, meet your ally in fashion who are reimagining how comfort and function support women every day. I want to jump into Homebird Interiors. Clearly a lifelong passion for you. And I love when moms turn a passion into a business, and it is possible. So you chose to get certified. So back to school, right? What was that like for you in middle age? Because I did
You
that
know,
too.
so weird. And I really did worry about it because I thought, oh God, like having to study again
Yeah,
and having to go through all of that again. I just was like, I'm not sure I'm going to be up for this.
yeah,
But actually, I found that so long as I had created a schedule for myself, that I could stick with it. And I was so disciplined and just like, I've got to do this, I've got to study, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And I just did it. And I enjoyed it so much, the experience of it. In fact, to the point when it was over, and the exams were done, and I just thought, oh my God, what am I going to do now? Now I want to learn something else. I thought to myself, should I intern somewhere? And, really to understand the finer points of interior design, because there's so many things connected to it. You have so many different skills and so many different things you have to be able to do. My husband was like, it might not be a bad idea because you're going to get the ins and outs, make connections. And then one day I woke up and said, no, I'm not going to do that. I am going to start my own business. I'm just going to do it. Because I have a schedule, I
yeah.
love to dance. I dance every single day. I'm also training for the next competition. And so I have to be able to give time to that. These are things that are super important for my headspace,
Mm-hmm.
but also, fitness and health. I mean, it's just important to me. So I won't give that up. So I thought whatever I do has to work around that schedule. And so I decided, you know what? I'm not going to answer to anybody. I'm 58 years old. I want to be able to do things when I want to do them, and we'll see. If it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. It's not going to be the end of the world. I'll have fun learning and doing it and picking things up as I go. And that's exactly what I did. And I have to say, again, the best decision I made. I'm so glad I did it.
And you know what? You said something else, which is, I think, another really important point. You said, if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And I think sometimes women are afraid to fail. And failure, at least like in my opinion, is just, okay, I've learned something that I didn't do really well. Let me go figure out what else I can do better. And
Yeah.
so I think that mentality that you have is really important. It's like a growth mentality. Don't be afraid. Go try something. Try something that you love that really resonates with you, like the dance and the fitness. I'm right behind you on that one. And yes, I schedule that into my calendar, so I make sure that that happens.
Everything you do, you learn something from.
Right.
Like everything you do. So if you win and it's great, wonderful. It's like the dance thing, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I went through a period of time where I felt like it was going great. Now all these new ladies have come in, they're super good. And so now I feel like I've gone, now I have to like start climbing up that hill again. But you know what? It's good. It's good for me. It's made me stronger. And I don't think there is a failure. I don't think there is failure, actually. I think
There
you just learn.
isn't.
It's just another learning experience.
100%. I think that's brilliantly said. And you know what? That should be like a t-shirt. There is no failure. You're just learning.
Yeah.
And I think the failure is perceived, right? Because especially in dance, it's interesting. Dance really highlights that because you're competing against other people. You have no idea how you're going to end up with the
Nope.
judges, who the judges are, at the end of the day. But just to have been there and just to have competed and just to say, I feel good about what I did, that is a huge success.
It's so exhilarating. But I feel like that about even doing this business. There are days I just haven't, I have a whole schedule of meetings and talking to different people, and I'm over here and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And I feel so great at the end of the day. I just feel good. Like I have fun and I'm meeting all these different people and I'm forcing myself to do things in situations that I don't necessarily always feel comfortable in.
Mhm.
But I think, you know what? It's part of the job. Just get it done. And it's been good for me. It's just made me, again, like not scared to ask for something or be, if I'm not sure about something, not scared to ask a person for help. So it's been an amazing experience so far, and I've really enjoyed it. And I'm really glad I did it.
Yeah, it's a wonderful opportunity for growth and learning and introspection as well. So I wanted to ask you, what have been the easiest and the most difficult parts of your mom reinvention journey?
I think difficult, I would say, was initially. I felt less than because I wasn't going to work every day and getting paid for a job. It was a good position. I had a lot of responsibility, and I felt like when I gave that up, somehow I was almost apologizing for giving it up and
Mm.
just becoming a mother. But at the time, I felt like I'd almost given up a part of myself, something I really loved to do. I'd just given it up. I'd given it away. It took me a while to come to terms with that, I would say. Um, uh, Easy. I don't know if any of it's ever easy. It's interesting because my kids, as I said before, they're so different in personality and their journeys have been very different. We've had our ups and downs, and there have definitely been some bumps in the road.
Oh, that's family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just
Uh,
life and family.
but, when you're going through it, it just feels like, there were moments where I was just like, oh my God, like, I don't know if I can do this. Really tough moments. But at the same time, seeing what they have become and where they are now in all aspects of their lives. And that's down to myself and my husband. We did that. We
Yeah.
created these incredible human beings. I think that I'm so incredibly proud of them. They're just so amazing in so many different ways. So, seeing them overcome things and grow as people and still want to be around us, that's been the joy and
Right.
that's been everything I wanted it to be. When I set out on this particular journey, all I wanted was well-rounded kids, well-rounded, fun, successful. But you know what? That was the other thing. I never felt like I wanted to push them too hard. I wasn't pushed. My parents were always, look, you want to do it, do it. If my grades weren't great, they were like, it's okay.
Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice to hear? Because sometimes today parents get so crazy over so many things.
Yeah.
But that also leads me into, what do your kids think of everything that you've done? The dance studio and now Homebird Interiors.
I think they love it. I think they love. My husband is also very accomplished when it comes to sports and fitness. So we both compete, and
Right.
I think my kids are just like, they're awed by it because they're just. It's amazing. We're still doing things. We're still pushing ourselves. We're still trying to get somewhere.
Yeah. But what a wonderful example for them. Think about it. You and your husband are setting this incredible example for them. You're showing them how this can be a lifelong pursuit, lifelong learners, lifelong doers. And I think just that is just invaluable.
Yeah, I agree. I do. I think they learn so much from you, even if you're not intentionally teaching them.
Right.
They do. They watch. Paul's always. Paul, interesting, has been asked now by two of our kids are married, and
I think also you said you just became a grandma.
I did.
Congratulations.
Yes, he's only 9 weeks, but he's
Oh
a
my
joy.
gosh.
But Paul's been asked twice now by the kids to be best man at their weddings, which I think is a total testament.
Oh my gosh, that's extraordinary.
It filled him with absolute horror. It was like, oh my God, no. But the speeches he gave were unbelievable. And I think it just feels as if we are so bound together as a family.
I love that, Amanda. That's an extraordinary postscript to your story. So congratulations about that. So as our time is drawing to a close, I have a question for you that I ask all of my moms. And that is, since this is the Mom to More podcast, Amanda Parton, what is your more?
Having everyone close and being able to do things as a family is probably right at the top of my list.
Mm-hmm.
But travel, because we traveled so much in our younger lives, we have plans to travel, once Paul is retired, for us to really travel, like to see parts of the world that we have not seen. And actually live places and learn languages. And
love that.
yeah, I feel like we want to immerse ourselves in different parts of the world. That will be our next chapter. I don't know when that will be, maybe 5 years from now, maybe 10, who knows? Because now, of course, there's a grandchild in the mix, and I'm like, but I need
can't
to
leave him.
So that's a bit of a problem right now. I've got to get over that hump.
Right.
But I think we'll do it, because, I want to learn to tango in Argentina. He wants to spend time in France because he cycles and he wants to do the Tour de France. Not do it, obviously.
Yeah.
I think travel is definitely right up there, and I think that will be our next.
I love that.
Yeah,
I think that's a fabulous answer, and it sounds so exciting. So, Amanda, please tell my listeners where they can find you online.
If you go to homebirdinteriors.com, you can find me there. I am also on Instagram as
Homebird Interiors One. I'll just also mention that all of this information will be in the show notes, so everyone will be able to find you and check you out. Anyway, this has been so lovely, and I'm so appreciative of your time, and how fun to be able to get to know you outside of the dance studio.
Right.
So I'm really grateful for that, and I realize we are very similar in so many ways, and I really love that.
Right. Well, I will see you on the dance floor.
I'll see you on the dance floor. I'd like to read another 5-star review, and this is from S. Kimchi. And she wrote, Sharon has brought an array of amazing and inspirational women to her podcast. She's a wonderful host and brings a lot of color to the question so many moms are facing. What's next? Thank you for those kind words. And if you keep writing the reviews, I'll keep reading them. Before I sign off, a quick favor. I would love it if you would take a few moments to follow or subscribe to the pod. Following us means you'll never miss an episode, and it really does help the show to grow. Just go to the Mom to More show page on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen in, tap the plus sign in the upper right corner, or click on follow. While you're there, if you'd be willing to leave a 5-star rating and review and share an episode with another mom, I'd be so grateful and appreciate your support. Thanks for listening in, and see you next time.